Hi, and welcome back to Jen's Addiction. I'm so glad that you came back to see me today. And what I hope will be a little bit of a fun episode. I thought it would be great to do sort of a touch base and piggyback on to one that I have done a while back on I think then it was the top 10 records that you would find on my turntable today. But today I'm just going to do my top 5 because seriously, even though I've been listening to other music in between, don't get me wrong, these 5 records have been on constant rotation since I bought them, and that's been several weeks, if not months ago. There's 5 of them. 2 of them I picked up based on a recommendation off of a fellow YouTube channel here. It's from Royksopp's channel. 10 years on YouTube, over 10,000 of you have subscribed to his channel, so I'm sure many of you are not in the know about him and his channel, but he is a music lover. He is a filmographer. He is an audiophile, but mostly it's always about the music with him, which I love. He gives wonderful recommendations. He puts himself out there and actually plays snippets of songs. I won't be doing that today because I keep getting flagged from YouTube for copyright. As many of you know, that's been a hot topic lately, copyright infringements and things going on. So I don't want to go there. So I've created a Spotify playlist. It's Jen's Addiction Spotify playlist. Anything that I talk about or any songs that I'm enthusiastic about in relation to certain episodes, I've been putting on that playlist. So hopefully you guys can check that out. There's much to look at that covers a lot of other topics and musical examples from past episodes. So a lot of these albums, top songs will be listed on that playlist from them as well. And then also, having said that, since I'm inviting you to come into my home and listen to some records with me today, I thought I would take a second, though, to introduce myself, though, to those of you who might be new to my channel and have not sat and talked music with me before. So I am Jen, and welcome to Jen's Addiction. I have been now part of the vinyl community in YouTube for, I guess it's maybe 5 to 6 months. Many of you out there inspired me greatly to kind of tap into what really motivated me musically and just find a community of people to talk music with. My husband and I, we collect comic books, we collect records. We are always looking for fun and wonderful new examples of those things, and discovering a lot of you on YouTube was super fun. And when I was mapping out my record space down here when we moved a couple years ago, I really discovered a lot of wonderful examples of music lovers and wonderful YouTube channels. So that really inspired me. It helped me kind of take the plunge. And along the way, I have learned a lot. I've kind of grown a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes, I'm sure. But above all, I get to talk about music with a ton of you who have subscribed to my channel, who make wonderful comments and additions. It's just a fun, safe space for people to just talk openly about the things that we're passionate about and what we're addicted to. In this case today, it's about music. I do sometimes talk about monsters. I have a real love for Universal monsters. That's a sweet spot and a passion of mine. And as I mentioned, comic books, which I'll talk about from time to time. But I've made incredible friends here on YouTube already. And I would like to give another shout out to my dear friend, Tobias Granville. I was so inspired by Tobias's channel when I started mine. He has such a passion and love for music. I know many of you have heard me talk about him before, but it's really what makes this journey extra fun is meeting someone like Tobias and knowing that even across the ocean, we have become friends and we talk about music together. And that is super exciting. So I hope you check out his channel. A big thank you to him. And any of the other artists and channels along the way that have inspired me, including now Royksopp, because he has wonderful content, as many of you know. But what I love is learning about new music from other sources outside my circle and outside of the area in which I live. So I kind of expressed a few times that finding records sometimes of musicians and genres that I enjoy can be difficult. I'm in the Midwest. I've moved from a little slightly larger college town to a smaller town, still close to some college towns though. And that's helpful, but you just don't always see things as easily maybe as a bigger city or different parts of the world. So I typically like 70s, 80s, and 70s. It was very much a rock and roll, punk, and then into post punk. I like alternative music, a lot of new wave. And those genres, just a total 80s, new wave, British invasion of the 80s kind of girl. So Depeche Mode, Susie and the Banshees. I love Aha, ABC. And I also delve into other areas like Skinny Puppy, Front 242, very much influenced by industrial music as well. Big fan of the Ramones, of Blondie. I could go on and on. I'd probably bore you with all the bands I could name out. Many of you love the exact same groups, and I highlight many of those records. So today may not be off the mark is what you might expect for me to listen to, but I will say I have not often delved into my love of electronic music and dance music. Definitely always with, Kraftwerk, and that kind of introduction to electronic music, and like Depeche Mode to me would be like such an amazing example of a band that takes electronic music and goes to the next level, right? But I don't really talk about modern electronic and dance music. In the 90s, I was often going to dance clubs. I love techno, house, rave style music, and of course, industrial music. So these records today kind of fall into that form, and I will sort of ebb and flow in and out of what I listen to. And many records I will, grab and listen to randomly, but there's always a core group of albums that I find myself being addicted to at any given time. These are 5 that I'm definitely addicted to right now. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to share, especially since 2 of them are examples of things that I picked up based on recommendations from another channel. So thank you again to Baraka P-Dub for suggesting a couple of these albums and kind of making me rethink where I'm finding music and how I'm discovering new music. So I did take some notes. If you see me reference those, don't think anything about it. I will probably have to, because I can't always remember everything as good as I want. But the very first album I wanted to talk about today is by the English artist Liz Lawrence. I was not familiar with her. On Baraka's channel, he mentioned this album Peanuts and played a snippet of it. The first song, Big Machine, might be the one that he played. I love this record. So let me just say, this is an artist that's new to me, half of a group called Cash and David, which was more of an electronic group. She's 35 years old and always has something, I think, I don't want to say political, but very thought-provoking lyrics about subjects that are meaningful to her. It could be animals, it could be the environment, it could be interpersonal relationships, whatever it is. I really feel like she's a really good lyricist. She makes good points. I like the way that she pulls it all together. This album, I think, is an awesome example of her work, and I haven't delved in 100% to everything that she's got, but I do pull it up on Spotify. I usually do a Spotify playlist, and I'm just like kind of sampling bits and pieces. And we just love her. I can't get enough, and I cannot wait to pick up some more of her records. This one, I think it was under $20 when I ordered it, maybe 19 something. It's really pretty yellow vinyl. I just think it is such a winner. The album is sort of an observationalist record. So by using electronic music and also just real instrumental, I mean, she's got drums and guitar and bass and everything on this record. I think she's able to kind of weave this story and these images as you listen to her music in a really, really great way. I think she chose the name Peanuts because this is correct me if I'm wrong, but even Baraka mentioned this on his channel. This is the English version of the game Mercy that we play here in the States, where you kind of bend each other's wrists back until someone cried mercy, right? Which also, I think, symbolizes that you've met your threshold for pain and things of that nature. And I think her lyrics on this album would reflect that. Again, Big Machine on side 1, Strut on side 2 are my 2 favorites. I would really also when I listen to this, it is a very Liz Phair, Annie DeFranco meets White Stripes kind of a sound, which is crazy because then when I looked later to look her up, she opened for Anna DeFranco. So there you go. But I say that because they have just that real vocal power, but also that raw musical power where you can hear her hitting the strings on a guitar or a bass. You can, sort of hear what's happening when you're playing those drums. And I just love that. And it's interwoven then with those little electronic elements that stand out. And it just is a wonderful, wonderful combination. So I can't say enough good things about this album, Peanuts. It is on part of my Spotify playlist, but it is also on Spotify. So if you want to check it out before you purchase it, obviously, if you don't use Spotify, I think there are other options. She also has Instagram accounts, maybe a Bandcamp account. Don't quote me on that, but I thought so. But like on Instagram, she talks about the making of the record. Just her journey as a person and an artist is super interesting. I would encourage anybody to check her out. But again, if you like a little funky, electronic-y version of like a White Stripes record, I think you would find this incredibly interesting. Another album and group that he recommended was this one, Any Signs of Love, from a band called Crazy P. I had never, ever, ever heard of them before. The very first snippet he played is the title track, Any Signs of Love. And my gosh, I was hooked immediately when I heard it. And then I immediately turned off my my YouTube or whatever and looked it up and ordered it because I just off of a 30-second snippet of one song. And I have not been disappointed. I have not bought all of their records. He had mentioned it might be difficult to find them. So if you are interested in them, you listen to them and you want to purchase them, probably it sounds like it's an encouraging thing to do so. They may have limited amounts and they don't come out all the time. But this is their 9th studio album. They have one called Age of Ego, which I've listened to on Spotify also. If I had a copy of that, I would be listening to it on my turntable as well. But this song, oh my gosh, there's another song called Strange Affair. I think it's the last song on side 2. Absolutely adore both of those songs. They come in a polylined sleeve, which was really, really great. I just did the basic black records, but oh my gosh, you guys, I love them so, so much. They started out as a 2-piece group, and by 2002, they added more members. Including the beautiful voice of Danielle Moore. The only thing I would say, which is just like such a high to discover this group and such an emotional low, then to find out that shortly after this was released in 2024, Danielle took her own life. It was unbelievable to hear, but as a woman in my age range who was suffering from perimenopause and different things, and psychologically and emotionally took its toll on her. And so just heartbreaking to hear that we lost her beautiful voice, soulful voice, just absolutely amazing to me. So such a terrible loss. I hope they continue to make music. I'm sure she is not replaceable in any way, shape, or form, but gosh, they really do make wonderful, wonderful music. And they have a really beautiful insert too in memory of our Danielle. So I thought that was so, so pretty. Isn't that very Susie Sue? That is just a gorgeous picture. So there is a couple songs. I think it's Mystify is a very funky song off of this album. You Know How It Goes is another very soulful song. There's just moments on this record where you can really hear her singing too, and she has a very soulful voice. And I just can't say enough good things about this. If you don't listen to any other song, Any Signs of Love, the title track is an absolute win. And I'm just so grateful that this album was recommended and I got to experience it and pick it up. And just awesome band. If you've ever listened to them before, please let me know what records or songs of yours are their favorite, or Liz Lawrence, any of these artists that if I mention and you've heard them, I'd love to hear what you think about them, but especially Crazy P. Just Gosh, so good. Another band I've heard of before, I hadn't bought this particular record, is the 2024 release of Hyperdrama from the French electronic duo Justice. This record is just everything you kind of want it to be for an electronic modern sound, taking over to me in that area where Daft Punk kind of left. I mean, obviously they're very influenced by Daft Punk. I can't imagine that they're not. This is their fourth LP. I think this would be what I would call a modern techno rave throwback record. It has all of those elements and qualities, but also a very modern take. They partner with some wonderful, wonderful singers. Never Ender is the very first song on here. And when you get this record, by the way, this one comes with a hype sticker, but all of the title tracks are listed on there. This record is very slick in its kind of production. I have a few notes on the back. I'll show you the back here in a minute. But the inner sleeves are, really nice and thick. I just did the black records on those, but nothing's listed anywhere. So you've got to keep your hype sticker or something. So don't throw that away if you happen to pick it up. Because man, it would have been terrible. But there's a song on here called Generator, and it reminds me of, if you've listened to, nope, I didn't think about this till later, but the song Dominator, and James Brown is dead. James Brown is still alive. There's just a electronic backbeat to those that is very similar on here. They have a song called Incognito, which is definitely that electric disco sound that I just absolutely love. The things about Daft Punk that you might love are kind of those hallmarks of this particular album. But then they have these very soft, melodic moments too. Yeah, Muscle Memory and Harpy Dream go into, they flow together almost like one song. And then it flows into one called Saturnine, which is sung by an artist, I believe, named Miguel. And that is like one of the last couple of songs on this record. And he sings that song. It reminds me so much of a very, when Prince would do that very high vocal range in that sound, he sounds a lot to me like Prince, like at that moment, that very high, funky Prince sounding with that very modern electronic backbeats and stuff to it. So again, if you like Daft Punk, I think you would enjoy this record. And you can tell it's a high gloss record. Like I've probably got my fingerprints all over it. Typically I have it in the sleeve, but it was hard enough and so shiny that even with a sleeve, I felt like you couldn't see it at all. But this would be the third most popular record right now in my house, would be Hyperdrama from Justice. So if you've not checked all of that album out, I would definitely recommend that one. So the next two albums, I had talked a while back about finding electronic music in record stores, that I was hopeful that I could do that and just track them down and buy them in a local record store, at a music show, whatever. It is difficult to find certain genres of music. Electronic music can be definitely in that category. Even finding like someone who to me would be a staple like Moby is absolutely sometimes next to impossible. So these next two artists, huge favorites of mine. The first one, I have been hunting for this. I finally found a good deal online and I gave up looking in the wild. I believe it's Anyma, Anyma. He is an Italian-American DJ. This is the first of 3 albums that complete a whole story of a humanoid named Eva, and it is called Genesis. So this is the very first album. There's a second one called Genesis 2. It's the same picture on the front, but the background is lighter. And then the very last in this trilogy is called The End of Genesis, which was released this year. And then this is all silhouetted. So there is the front. There is the inside. Oh my gosh, you guys, finding this record, the price range was everywhere for this particular record. I feel I bought mine. Again, it was released in 2023. It was a German release. I found mine online, sealed, and I think I paid under $60 for it, which, seeing them sealed at $200 and $300 and all that, just crazy. Again, the range, but I wanted it as close to new as I could get. And so when this popped up, I think I probably bought it and it had only been listed for like 10 minutes, and I just snapped it up because I love it. The records are just in a real, very basic sleeve, and they are the pretty, I don't know, crystal record. For some reason, it's so fitting for this particular album and this series, but they're just really the prettiest crystal records. And you can see the markings on them super easy. The vocals from the artist that he uses are just so ethereal and dreamy. And I'm trying really hard not to talk about the trilogy, but knowing what I know about this record, and when you listen to it, plenty of songs that stand out on their own. But when you think about it as a whole and how he's telling this story, just super, super good. My favorite songs on here are Eternity is the first one on side one. The very last song is called Consciousness. It's funny though, they are produced and performed with him and Chris Avantgarde. So it's great that the two songs that are my favorite are consistent with the same artists. But he has a ton of other artists on here with him performing. But man, I can't say enough good things about this record. Again, if you are not a fan of electronic or dance music, this may not be the record for you. But if you are and you haven't heard it, or you haven't seen the incredible images of him performing live, just look that up. Put him in and put in the Sphere. He had a short residency at the Sphere in Las Vegas. He performed on New Year's Eve. His visuals are absolutely mind-blowing. They tell the whole story of Eva. It's just I think this record has been described as diverse. It's been described as creative, and also been listed as, in my opinion, I think I would say it has a very unique emotional perspective, because you're dealing with the idea of a artificial consciousness coming to full fruition. I'm going to be playing this for quite a while. It is on regular rotation, even on my Spotify playlist. But again, Eternity and Consciousness, if you listen to nothing else, I think those are fantastic standalone tracks. Actually, Welcome to the Opera is the second song on here. Another fantastic, just so, and I like them loud. Let me say, if you're at my house listening to these records with me, the volume is up, the bass is on, and I like to feel it like right here. I don't know if my neighbors like to feel it, but it's a dance party in my house. I'm just saying right now. Hands down, it is a dance party in my house. So my next really favorite one of my top favorite groups over the last several years has been Royksopp. And this is an album. It came out in 2014. Again, it's super, super hard to find. Every time I would go into a store, I would ask for Royksopp, and they would have the current records, which it's called Profound Mysteries. There's like 3 records over that span and were released, I think, within the same time period. This is the 5th studio album of theirs, and what they called their last traditional studio album. They have guest appearances and singers besides performing themselves. Some of the tracks are sung by Robin, who I love. And actually my favorite song on this record is sung by her. There's Jamie. Let me see. Let me get my glasses so that I can read this here. You get Jamie Irrepressible, Suzanne Sundfor, Sundfor, but it's not an O. I believe she may be Scandinavian, Swedish. And those 3 artists show up and sing multiple songs on this particular record. Robin does a song called Monument, which is the second side on side one. The whole first side, the first three songs, Skulls, Monument, and Sordid Affair, are just like my favorites. Monument, I literally, did you ever make tapes when you were a kid and you just put one song on like an infinite play, like one whole tape with one whole song? If I had to make a tape like that today, Monument would have been my consecutive song. I just absolutely cannot get enough of it. There's a song on here also called Sordid, the third one, Sordid Affair. That is Man Without Country, I believe is the singer performer for that. So super, super good. Save Me and Save Me and Running Into the Sea is the ones that Suzanne are on, and they are just beautiful. Her voice sounds fantastic. If you're a fan of Robin's, if you're a fan of some of the music that Robin has put out, I'm sure you're familiar with Royksopp, and I think you would really, really dig their stuff. I love this record because it is emotional and it is dark and it ticks all those boxes that bands like Depeche Mode really tick for me. There's just certain things that I hear in certain kinds of music, tones, tonalities, qualities, which is probably why I liked new wave and gothic and industrial and things. There's just this sound and this quality that comes through, and this is no exception. It is, again, a very stripped down presentation, very nice. I was absolutely thrilled to get this copy sealed. Again, it popped up on Discogs. I had a really nice conversation with the person who listed it. I think I got it for $10 or so less than what he listed it for. It had been stored upright, sealed for 10 years, 10, 11 years, whatever it's been now. And to think that I was the first person to crack it open and play it made me so excited. I was super, super happy about that. But, you know, it is that just electronic pop, very well produced, that it's a fresh take on a melancholy feel, and I absolutely love it. I hope this isn't, I hope The Inevitable End is not their last traditional studio album. I have Profound Mysteries. I enjoy those two. Their previous albums I love a lot. If they could, this is just, I think, them at their peak. I think they're fantastic. I would love to see them. I can't say enough good things about them. But I absolutely am addicted to this record. I'm so happy to get it. So that being said, maybe you guys have some electronic music that you love. Maybe some of you are listening to Royksopp or have some favorites. I hope you'll let me know. Again, please hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We all say that here on YouTube, right? Everybody says it. It does mean a lot, and it makes my videos reach new people and kind of expand our little universe here at Jen's Addiction. So I would love that. Share with a friend that you think might be interested. And of course, just keep coming back for all the craziness. I just love seeing so many comments and so many new faces. And like I said, I've made some really wonderful relationships already, and I just cannot wait to keep that party going. I'd love to know what your top 5 favorite addicted albums, or maybe it's just songs, currently are on your playlist. I think that's a ton of fun. Above all, just keep enjoying the music, keep spinning your records and loving what you love, no matter what it is. But take some risks and discover something new like I did, because man, I have not been disappointed. And thank you to all of you out there on YouTube who are making wonderful content, exposing us to amazing records, taking the chance, unlike me today, to post snippets of those records so that we can hear them and experience them for ourselves. I think that's a risk worth taking. I will try again in the future. But until next time, just keep spinning your great tunes and come back to see me. Thank you so much, everybody.